Imagine this. It's the early 19th century in India. The air is thick with the scent of spices, the rumble of war drums, and the whispers of forbidden love. This is the world of James Achilles Kirkpatrick, a British resident at the court of Hyderabad, a man caught between two worlds, two loyalties, and one great love. His story isn't just a dusty chapter in a history book. It's a heart-wrenching drama of a man torn between the empire he served and the woman who held his heart. James Kirkpatrick was no ordinary British officer. He had embraced Indian culture, speaking fluent Persian and Urdu, and adopting local customs. He was respected, even admired, by the Nizam of Hyderabad. But his deepest connection was not to a ruler or a treaty. It was to a young noblewoman named Nissa. Their love story was the talk of the court, a scandalous, passionate affair that defied every convention of the time. He, a representative of the British Empire. She, a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. Against all odds, they married, and James, for a time, believed he could have it all. But the drums of war were growing louder. The Second Anglo-Maratha War was on the horizon, a conflict that would pit the British East India Company against the powerful Maratha Confederacy. As the British resident, James's duty was clear. He had to secure Hyderabad's support for the war effort, ensuring their army marched alongside the British. His career, his reputation, and the very stability of the region depended on his success. It was a monumental task, a high-stakes game of political chess, where one wrong move could mean disaster. This is where the walls began to close in on James. He wasn't just a British officer anymore. He was a husband to Nissa, a father to their 2 children. He was deeply integrated into the very society he was now being asked to push into a bloody conflict. Imagine the tension in their home, the whispered conversations late at night. Nissa, a noble woman of Hyderabad, now saw the man she loved preparing to lead her people into a war orchestrated by his own. Her fear for his safety was immense, but it was tangled with a deeper dread, the fear of what this war would do to their world, to their family. His position made him a target. Rival British officers, jealous of his influence and disapproving of his going native, saw an opportunity. They began to whisper in the ears of the Governor-General, Lord Wellesley, painting James as unreliable, too sympathetic to the Indian cause, and compromised by his marriage. They twisted his genuine efforts at diplomacy into signs of disloyalty. Every report he sent, every piece of advice he gave, was scrutinized, second-guessed, and used as ammunition against him. He was being politically manipulated, isolated by his own countrymen at the moment he needed their trust the most. The pressure was immense. The weight of an empire rested on his shoulders. He had to convince the Nizam's court to commit their troops, a task fraught with political landmines. The Nizam's ministers were wary, and James had to navigate their complex motivations and hesitations. He was walking a tightrope. On one side was his duty to the crown, demanding he be a ruthless agent of British expansion. On the other was his love for his wife and his genuine affection for the people of Hyderabad, pulling him towards a more peaceful, compassionate path. In the quiet moments before the storm, before the armies marched, James and Nissa exchanged letters. These weren't just simple notes. They were outpourings of love, fear, and desperation. He tried to reassure her, promising his safe return. While she pleaded with him, her words filled with a premonition of tragedy. You can feel the anguish in their writing. She feared for his life on the battlefield, but also for the man he might become, forced to act against the interests of her homeland. For James, every word he wrote was a promise he wasn't sure he could keep. His internal conflict was tearing him apart. Was he, James Kirkpatrick, the British officer, loyal servant of the Empire, or was he Hashmat, the name of honor given to him in Hyderabad, husband to Nissa? For years he had managed to be both, but the war forced a choice. The machinery of empire was a relentless, grinding force, and it was crushing his personal happiness. His love story, once a beautiful bridge between two cultures, was now caught in the crossfire of imperial ambition. In the end, James succeeded in his mission. The Hyderabad forces joined the British, and the war effort moved forward. But it was a hollow victory. He had fulfilled his duty, but at what cost? He had alienated allies in the Hyderabad court and confirmed the suspicions of his rivals in the British capital. The political machinations against him intensified, leading to a formal inquiry into his conduct. He was eventually exonerated, but the damage was done. His spirit was broken. The weight of it all proved too much. Just 2 years after the war began, James Kirkpatrick fell ill and died at the young age of 41. He never saw Nissa again. His story is a powerful, personal tragedy that reveals the human cost of empire. It's a reminder that history isn't just about battles, but treaties. It's about people, their loves, their loyalties, and the impossible choices they are forced to make. The love between James and Nissa was a casualty of war, a beautiful, fragile thing crushed by the unyielding weight of history. Thank you for joining me on this journey back in time. The story of James and Nissa is a poignant chapter in the complex history of British India. If you found this story as moving as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more hidden histories. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time.